Another early morning, another day at the U.S. Open. What's going on, Melina?
Are we live officially? I'm
I
used
think
to
we
being the
are.
one to be able to see the
Oh,
see
that's
the
right.
live, and this time I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got one person, two, three. It's adding up. Here we go. What's going on, man? How are things?
It's going good. It's going good. It's a busy it's what's going to be a busy day. It's going to be a lot of pool. I'm excited to get to the venue because I heard last night they were going to be the layout's going to be different. So I think they're going to be down to three tables, I want to say. So I'm looking forward to heading out there here in a minute and checking it out.
All right. Well, hey guys, hit up the comments. Let us know you can hear us and see us okay. We got a little different setup today. Melina's on his phone. I'm running the tech behind the scenes, so I'll probably dog it. But a lot of storylines from yesterday, Mike. I know a lot of Americans were disappointed when Shane Van Boening went out. Were you able to catch any of that match or talk to Shane after that match or, kind of see the reaction there?
Yeah, we all went to dinner last night. After, like pretty much all of Team USA and Jason Weir and Brett and Pinozo and Keith Paradise. It was, but um, yeah, I got to check out Shane's match. I try not to, mess with guys once they lose, especially Shane, because Shane can be a little temperamental. Not with me, and not rude with me, but just tilted because he loses and he's a competitor, and I try to respect that. But yeah, yeah. Look, we know what kind of player Chang is. He was coming off a Chinese 8 ball win just before coming over here to the U.S. There was a lot of complaints in the chat and on some posts I've seen just about the guy's pace of play.
Mm.
And I think that's a fair argument to have, but playing within the rules, it is what it is. I know Shane's like in the heart of everyone. They wanted to see him go for six, myself included. But Chang's a monster player, and look, he beat Shane, and he goes out to a player who I can't help but root for afterwards, and Victor. So
Yeah, and it's almost like I guess I'll pose a question to you. Has Shane won his last US Open?
no, I don't believe so. Only because, well, I mean, odds would say yes. Like if I was gonna handicap, like what percentage says that he is, or I guess put a money line on it, maybe like around like a 400 kind of money line saying that he has. But it's really just a matter of Shane's head. If the money's right and the sport continues to grow, then we'll continue to see Shane. And so, but if things go the opposite direction, then I think it'd be tough. U.S. Open would be one of the few tournaments that he would, come out and play. I feel like every year, but I think the days of seeing Shane travel, 8 months out of the year are coming to a halt sooner than later.
Yeah, I
So
just realized I dogged it. I didn't change the title. It still says Final 64. We are down to the Final 16, but I have a little different take on it, Melina. And I think that we have seen Shane win his last US Open, and not because of any deterioration in his game or his lack of motivation or anything like that, but because just each year the field gets stronger and stronger. So each round you have folks playing against world class players, and we saw it with Chang. He beats Shane, and then he turns around and loses to Victor. And so there's no guarantees in this. And we've seen it all along. We pick the winners each morning who we think is going to win, and we're wrong like 50% of the time. So
right.
we're kind of dogging it ourselves. And that just goes to show the incredibly high level now in this tournament, and things happen and things get weird. Like, look at Chris Reinhold. Chris Reinhold, he was beating, we were joking around, he was beating the 2009 Mosconi Cup team, right? He was beating all the older Europeans or more seasoned Europeans. And then he plays Ralph, and you're like, okay, another similar matchup to what he's had. And then Ralph ends up winning that one pretty easy and advancing. So it's just been an interesting tournament so far. A lot of storylines.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, look, I think it's a fair argument to have that saying that Shane won his last one. Shane was running out of time to win a world championship, and then he snaps that one off, and then he follows that up with like whatever it was, a European Open final. We know how tough it is to get anywhere, but he's always going to be like around this area of a tournament. I feel like
Yeah.
around that 16, like guaranteed. But when you draw into a player like Chang, luck's got to be a factor, because the reality is there were softer guys that Shane could have gotten. Well, actually, Shane was drawing into a winner, but even still, there were softer guys that he could have gotten outside of Chang. So, but that's part of winning any tournament. Um, I'm gonna root for it because you know I'm a fan of him, but I'm also a realist in the sense that he still has a game to compete, and if he didn't, then I would say that as well.
Yeah, and so we're going to get to the matches in just a second, but you mentioned the pace of play of Chang, and I've seen a lot of complaints online about pace of play overall with different players. Uh, but I watched the match with Shane and Chang, and I didn't really, I mean, yeah, it's slower than what you would typically see on a broadcasted, shot clock match, of course. But to me, it wasn't unwatchable. I felt like Chang was taking his time at various spots where he needed to, and it just was very methodical. And with no shot clock, you can't blame the guy. Did you feel like it was excessive?
Um, yeah, excessive. I couldn't go there. I think he was right at that line, though. I definitely feel that. But I don't think it was anything intentional to like try to get Shane out of any kind of rhythm or be something that he's not. They got a lot of history with one another. Shane beat him for the cash. I think it was like 2 years ago, whatever it was. So they know each other's game. Chang got the better of it this time. If they played a race to 11 on the TV table today, I'd still bet on Shane. So
Yeah,
chalk it up.
I probably would too. Let's go ahead and pull up the. Oh, I dogged it. Here we go. Let's pull up the matches for today. Some interesting matchups here. We have Maciel facing Capito. Both of us had talked about Capito early on. Like he's had glimpses of brilliance, but we haven't really seen him get super deep in an event. And so with
Right.
each round, as his name comes up, we've been picking against him, and he's been proving us wrong. And here he is in the final 16. He's only a couple wins away from, getting to the semifinals of the U.S. Open, and facing the young Polish player who knocks out the defending champion FSR yesterday, and he's just been turning up in these events and doing really well, but again hasn't got to the finals or semifinals of one of these big events. What's your take on this one?
So I talked to Alex when I first walked in the door, or not even in the door, when I walked in the hallway, and then when I walked into the venue, Maciel was practicing with Babika, and that was the second guy that I talked to. I'm a big fan of Daniel Maciel's game. I think he's got what it takes to take the next step. And it was funny because I'm telling him all this stuff, and then he loses like the very first round or something, and I'm like, well, fuck. So, but he's fought back, and that win over FSR is massive. I mean, we talked about Francisco maybe not being as sharp as he was a year ago. Francisco should have lost to Mickey Kraus in the round prior for my money. It was pretty heartbreaking a defeat. Not in the set, like it was great seeing Francisco fight back, but the way that Mickey lost was pretty brutal. But back to Daniel, I think he's got what it takes. Robbie for me has been a big surprise because I haven't expected a whole lot from Robbie's game. He seems to be handling every match very well. He's got this like quiet confidence about him, and his break seems to be dialed in. He's got like that finesse kind of break, but it opens everything up. He gets a ball down, and then these conditions aren't rattling him. I think this is a match where I'm going to pick the Polish player, but Robbie's been upsetting what I like in my head anyway. What I think is going to happen has been upsetting it. So could Robbie pull it off? He can, but I'm still going to take the Polish player, Daniel
So
Maciel.
I didn't get a chance to see much of Maciel play being remote for this tournament, but they did have bonus coverage of him getting out that last rack against FSR yesterday, and it was kind of tough because it's far away. It's one of those, I guess, pan-tilt zoom cameras that Matchroom had, and there were heads in the way and everything. But it looked like that last rack was a scramble. that he wasn't getting perfect shape on balls, but he was coming with some big shots. And it showed his grit. It showed his determination to get there and just pocket balls when he needed to get that huge win. Can you imagine what his heart rate was there trying to get out against FSR, knowing that FSR is fully capable if he got back to the table, running out the set and making a comeback. So I'm going with
Well,
Maciel in this one as well.
and the defending champion, and
Exactly.
the defending champion, a big fan favorite, his friend, just in general, but even here in the U.S. So yeah, it showed a lot of balls by the kid, but he's got to follow that up for sure. Like you can't take down a name and then come up short in the next one. You got to keep it
Yeah, I
going.
mean, I bet against Robbie in the last 4 rounds, I think, and, I'm gonna do it again, but, I would not be surprised if Robbie pulls this one out. You're not sure how Maciel is gonna respond here. Maybe there's a letdown after beating the big fish, we'll see. But I do like Maciel in this one. This next matchup is really intriguing. This could be the finals of the US Open, really. Uh, 2 of the best players in the world here. Carlos won this tournament before. Federer seems to be playing really well. He's made it to the final 16. We've talked before about some of his challenges on the matchroom stage. Who you like here, Mike?
I don't know. I
Pick
don't
him,
know.
flip a coin.
Yeah. Oh, but by far. And you're right. It could be a final. These are two A1 players. These are two monsters of the game. But if you're gonna just start really pulling back the layers and want to just uh, you know, see who's got an edge in what department, I guess maybe Carlo because he's played on more matchroom events. Now everything's shifting over to TV table. Carlo has the experience there. We know he's won this event in years before. Uh, but moving game, flip a coin, I guess. Banking, flip a coin, I guess. Precision. Federer is Federer. And so I don't know where to go with this. My head's telling me to pick Carlo because when Carlo's in this spot, he just does what he has to do. And I've seen Federer kind of have a bit of a letdown before. But if you're Federer Gorst, this is your chance. If you win this match, you're in the finals of the U.S. Open because I think you beat Maciel because he beat Maciel in single elimination just a few months ago. I don't think anybody else down below, Ralph, Sky, Alexa, and Jason, can beat Federer if he's got this momentum of winning a match over Carlo to come out of this top side of the bracket. I think this match, if you're Federer, you win this, you're in the finals.
Book it, folks. We heard it from Melina Mike. I think that's a pretty bold statement considering the players that are still in that grouping. I'm not going to say that. I do think Federer, pound for pound, if you line these two guys up, playing matching them up in a set, I'm taking Federer every day of the week. But in this environment, with the history, with the fact that he's been there and done this,
Right.
I'm taking Carlo in this match in a close one, nail biter.
And here's the deal. Federer's got like a $10,000 cushion on a guy down below and one David Alcade, right? So if Federer were to go out, then all eyes are going to shift to David to see how much more of a run can he make. Now he's got his own hands full down there at the bottom. But if you're in the number 2 spot at the end of this event, you're going to be announced as the next pick for the European Mosconi Cup team. Federer sits in that spot. He's sitting there pretty comfortably, but he'll be looking over his shoulder. That's for sure.
That's a good point. Moving down to the next one, the timeless Ralph Souquet. Unbelievable that he's in the last 16. He's really just a treasure. I've interviewed him on Pool Player Podcast and just a fabulous guy. Talked to him out at events. Uh, Always has time for you. True professional. He's made it to the final 16 of the U.S. Open. He beat Chris Reinhold yesterday. We talked about that. And his opponent, Alexa, we've kind of been betting against him each round too, but he's turning in some good performances, and you'd have to think on paper that he's probably a favorite at this stage in Ralph's career. But I'm not counting Ralph out. I think Ralph uh, might have one last run left in him, and I'm going to take Ralph in this match here. But on paper, he's probably a slight underdog. Thoughts, Mike?
When I was watching Earl and Ralph play, I was talking with Max, and he was saying brought up the fact that Ralph had changed cues, and what that does for his game. And he's like, if he's got to let the cue ball rip a little bit, which maybe in the last 30 years you've seen Ralph let the cue ball loose 2 times, maybe. He said it can get a little dicey, but Ralph is just upsetting the world here. He beats Albin after being down 5-2. He wins 10-5. He beats Chris, who Chris was coming on a bit of a heater, beating the 1999 Mosconi Cup team on the in route to play Ralph Suke. And then Ralph just handled his business. I talked with Chris because he was joining us last night as well, and he was saying that he was making that one ball every single time and then getting shot. So what are you going to do if you're Chris? It wasn't that you played bad. It's just the guy just played better and broke better. So it's going to shift now that you're going to TV table. Ralph's been there. He's done that, but he hasn't done it a whole lot under these conditions. It's going to be exciting to watch. I think it's a pick 'em, where I feel like before this event, you probably would have had Alexa maybe laying like 2 games to Ralph going to 10.
Yeah. This next matchup, I think, is one especially the American fans are looking forward to. And really, it doesn't get any better than this. With Mosconi Cup just a few months away, Sky Woodward and Jason Shaw facing off. I mean, we see it every December. And, Sky is the last American left in this field, and it's kind of turning out to happen that way quite a bit now, where we're seeing Sky outlast Shane in some events, and pretty soon all our marbles are going to be in the Sky Woodward basket for US fans. And so facing off here against Jason, who knocked out Earl, another American, that was a high profile match. Who you got here, Mike?
If it would have been before I watched Jason play, I would have said Sky, and I would have been like real comfortable saying Sky. Now that I've watched Jason play some, it's it's tough. It's tough because Jason looks like he's very loose and his game is still there, his break is still there. He seems to be just hitting on all cylinders more and more as the event progresses. They know each other's game. Sky, I think, has had his number more recently, but I don't know. I don't know how to call it, to be honest with you. And I like both. I like both these guys personally. If I'm thinking about just form as of right now, I know Sky came off a win when it comes to Naoki Oi. I don't know, Joey. Do you know who Jason beat in the round prior? I can't
We
think of
can
it
we
right
can
now.
scroll up a little.
Yeah,
Jason
I'm trying to remember it.
Jonas 10-5.
Yeah, Jonas is a solid player, but Sky's a different kind of animal. I don't know, Joe. Flip a coin. I think. Well, I guess I would hope Sky would make a run at a U.S. Open. So I guess for that matter is how I'll pick
So,
it. So
way to go, Mike. Bet with
yeah,
your
well, no,
heart.
I mean I can't give you like any kind of edge. I mean there was a lot. Look, 6 months ago I said Sky's the best player in the states, and I haven't shifted from that. I still believe that firmly. It's no knock on Shane. I feel like Sky is just playing more consistent in events lately, and results can back that up. And the guy was the number one ranking list player for Team USA. It's why he's already locked up. Where Shane will be announced probably today. And so, um, but then he changed cues. There was a lot of talk. Oh, well, then how is he going to play now? And he didn't look so good on a TV table the last event. Now everyone's kind of back on the Sky train, and it's fair. But Sky just stands up when it's time. Sky stands up when there's a big crowd. But it's going to be a battle, dude. Like it's going to be a absolute battle. Jason looked really good on the tail end of that match with Earl. So if they can both come in playing that kind of pool, get your popcorn ready, and it's going to be a great day.
I don't think it's any surprise that these two players are kind of the highlight now at the Mosconi Cup because, like you said, they get up for big shots. Sky's constantly hitting big shots at moments that you're like, man, this I'd hate to be in his spot, and boom, fires it dead in the hole. And they both have pinpoint shot making accuracy, and that's big when you're talking about this event
Right.
and these tight pockets. By the way, can you give me confirmation, Mike, on the exact pocket size? There's a lot of argument online about that. Some people are saying 4.25, some are saying 4. Do you know what the exact size is on the corner pockets?
Let me go get my tape measure from my bag over here,
Oh, come on, man! You're
and I'll
supposed to
tell
already.
you.
Well, that
Just
would actually be a good idea.
enjoy the matches. Is that so hard? Just enjoy the
Yeah,
matches.
hey, if we can get one more Patreon subscriber, then Melina Mike can go get one of those keychain pocket, like
Literally, like
measuring tapes,
down
and at
here
every
in a
event he'll
casino,
measure the pockets for us.
it's like $80 at a casino. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so I'm going with Sky in this one. I bet against Sky earlier in the tournament, but as the tournament goes on, Sky just seems to heat up, and I think that Sky's going to take this one. In fact, I'm going with Sky and Beato coming out of this grouping here of 8 players, and I'm not going to make a pick on that one yet. So that's what I like. Next match, we got Joshua Filler against Lil Co. What are you thinking about this one, Melina?
Should have put Cole away a few rounds ago. You know, he lost early on, and he's just been battling through the one loss side. He beats Babika in a hill match where he should have lost just a few rounds ago. And now here he is. You know, he takes off Jeff DeLuna. I want to say on the TV table yesterday. Now you're up against Josh Filler. Look, Josh is something else. Josh's head is someplace else, like, relative to others. He executes extremely high. He said yesterday, like, I finally found my break. And that's when I was like, oh shit, and I'm sure a lot of players were like, oh shit, because if we all know what Josh can do after the break and his run out ability. Now, if you can find confidence out there along with a ball going in and you're getting shape, then you can win the tournament. And Josh can win any event. So he's just coming off a win out of China, but it's Little Co. And Little Co can finish you also. These guys have history with one another. They played each other in the finals of the World 10 Ball just a few years ago, where Little Co got the better of it. And was when was still Josh back then too. Um,
But
so
it was 10 ball, and this is 9 ball, and Josh Filler's going to win this match. In fact, I like him winning. I like him getting to the finals out of this grouping of 8. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there right now. I really think he's playing well. He's feeling good, and that is a scary thing. When he's playing well and feeling good, he's favored in every match. I don't
yep,
care who
it's
he's
true.
playing. And so I think he's going to make it out of this grouping. I like him to win this match. This actually might be his toughest test out of the bottom part of this bracket over the next couple matches that he's going to play. But I like him here.
I like it.
All right. Moving on down, your boy, Max Lechner, once again making it deep in the U.S. Open, runner up
Yep.
last year, and playing a player that I don't know too much about. Have you been able to watch Miguel Silva play at all, Mike?
I did. I grabbed a bite yesterday and I brought the food into the venue and I sat down where there wasn't a whole lot going on. And it was Miguel Silva playing Jovan Bustamante. And I was like, and I said, let me watch this dude play. And first of all, I just wanted to enjoy my food. But uh, the guy was strong, man. I couldn't have pointed him out before, but he played good. He didn't try to do a whole lot. He very much played within himself, but he's got this like steady confidence about him and was just rolling on through. Uh, I don't think his break was the most like his cue ball on the break wasn't the most consistent thing on earth. But he's got a game that can beat anybody. Well, not
Really?
I'll take that back. He's got a game that could beat, players maybe within his range or close to. So could he be on a bit of a run? Yeah, I do think it's going to end here because I think Max is just a different kind of player, and I think Max. I saw a lot of Max's match yesterday because he was playing my boy Oscar, and so I'm there sweating it, super nervous, don't know who to root for, going back and forth, but I was just really appreciating the battle, and it was an absolute battle. Oscar was playing a lot of really smart shots and putting Max in jail, and little did he know that Max could kick like Efren. I mean, the dude was kick safing like, I mean, it was unbelievable the return kick safes that this guy was giving. Max was just it was incredible to watch. I think he's going to get by Silva, which would lead to a matchup that we both think is going to be between Josh and Max, and that one is going to be incredible. But give me Max in that match against Silva. No knock on the guy. I'm a fan of the way Miguel plays the game, but I think his run comes to an end.
Yeah, and Portugal not really known as a pool powerhouse, but in this event, we've seen a few Portuguese players and Silva at a 762 Fargo to get to the final 16 here. That's quite a statement. His Fargo rate will be going up here, and we'll see kind of what he does in this match against Max. But I'm with you. I'm going with Max, savvy veteran, and been here, done that to get this win. and then losing the next round to Joshua Filler. Next matchup, your boy Victor. Yeah, sorry, Max. Your boy Victor against David Alcady. What you got?
Heavyweight, absolute
Yeah.
heavyweight between these two. You know, a guy who always seems to be there versus a guy who should always be there from here on out. You know, in Victor. Victor coming off a big win over Chang Jun Lin. You know, coming off of that win out there in Michigan, I thought, man, this guy's just going to be radiating with confidence, and it really wasn't. Like he was still weighed down by a lot of things going on in the pool world. You know, and you know, we had a real good conversation about it. And but he's also a very smart kid, but very capable, you know. But if I were to take out the name Victor and input the name David, I could say the same thing when it comes to David about a lot of those same, you know, compliments there, you know. So David, when David gets in line, David don't get out of line, you know. And David was just playing very steady like he always does. He beats BJ, I think, in the round prior. Victor Victor should win this matchup, but even the way I say it, I'm not too confident because David, every time I bet against David, David wins, and I think
I'm going the other way.
it's a
I'm
pick 'em.
going the other way. I'm taking David. To me, David is the overlooked guy in almost every tournament.
He's
And
sitting number
with
3 right now,
yeah,
by the
with
way.
FSR's run the last couple years, David hasn't gotten the respect that he deserves. We heard that when we
Agreed.
interviewed him at the Moscone Cup. He really felt slighted by a lot of the things that people were saying leading up to the event. So what does he do? He comes out and he just performs time after time. He's a top player. I'm going with David to win this match. I'm taking experience over youth, and I'll take him here. Even in our chat, Jason Foster's been blowing up the chat. Love your comments, buddy. But he's like, yeah, Victor's going to take him out. Is that, yeah, Victor crushes Alcady. So I'm
No,
going with
I
Alcady.
don't.
I'm taking the other side.
Yeah, I mean, it's either way, like both players are deserving, you know, and both players got a game that's deserving, more importantly. So I'm really going to be intrigued by this match. What time does that start, Joe? By the way, I can't see.
That one
1?
says 1 p.m. local time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the last one from the final 16, Mario He and Aloysius Yap. What can you say about Mario He? I mean, he just
Both
grinds
these
it out. Seems like every match he's down like 8-6, and you're like, oh, okay, this is where Mario goes out, and then he just finds a way to grind his way back into the match and win the match. And so he's playing very well. He's playing very steady, but he's got a real tough matchup here. Yap uh, performing very well and does well at the U.S. Open. Typically, was he runner up the year? He was runner up the year Beato won. So
right.
he wants to get this title. Uh, I hate to bet against Mario with the results he's been turning in, but I'm going with Yap in this one. What about you?
I'm going the other way.
Ooh.
I'm going Mario, and I think it's his time. You know, I think for so long, at least to like win this matchup. You know, and but Mario, both these guys are guys it's easy to root for. They're both always smiling. They both are fun to watch. They both got amazing talent. Um, and they're just good dudes, you know, both of them are. Yap has been in better form a little bit more lately, and I mean in a very immediate lately, you know, in the sense of coming off of that finals in Michigan. Where Mario has been the more consistent 9-ball player on a matchroom stage. Mario said he was working on some mental coach and trying to get over, like, you know, dogging it off there at the end of matches where he's supposed to win. Um, if he can do that, then you know Mario and his break is where it was like a few months ago. Mario can beat anybody on earth, and I mean any one of the other 15 guys here. You know, I'm that much of a believer in that guy's game, but I think he's got some hurdles to overcome. I think he'll get past Yap. It's not going to get any easier though because that bottom part is brutal.
I'll put you on the spot here a little bit, Melina. Out of these final 16, and guys, hit up the chat. Let us know who you like out of these final 16. I'm about to take them down and put up your chat. So this is your chance at glory to pick who you like coming out of this in the finals. But Melina, who have you noticed out of these 16 that it seems like each year there's someone who's breaking the balls really, really well. And that's leading them to win matches where they might otherwise be a slight underdog, or maybe they have to overcome adversity. But when they get to the table, they're pocketing balls and they're getting out. Is there anybody that you've seen that really has this breakdown?
Uh, the German, and not the German you're gonna think of, Ralph
Oh,
Souquet. Yeah,
no way.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Ralph was making that one ball with ease, and just super steady. We just just he doesn't he's not gonna play three rail shape if he has to. Right, he's gonna roll the ball in, come off one cushion, stay in the middle of the table. Right, just get into windows where it makes sense, and he's got perfect speed on a lot of things. Like he'll roll the ball where the cue ball will come to a stop before the other ball, even makes it a drop in the hole, and it's only got enough of a revolution to get in the hole, and that's it. Um, but yeah, man, it's wild. It's pretty crazy to watch.
I,
But
I
I don't
I
know.
just had to Google it. He's 54 years old. Okay, so are you telling me that he has a shot at 54 to win the U.S. Open?
Hey,
I,
relax,
give
cowboy. I
give
think
us
he's got
50 plus year olds hope. Does he
I
have a
think
chance?
he's got a chance to win a couple more rounds and give you geriatrics of some hope. But
Look,
who
Jenny
knows?
Ann's got an all German final. You see the comment?
Yeah, yeah. Give
How cool
me
would
give
that
me a
be?
favorite give me a favorite kind of final and a dark horse kind of final.
For me, for my
Yeah,
money, okay, I'm
yeah.
going with Carlo and Joshua as like the favorite. But the final that I want to see, of course, being an American, is Sky Woodward against anybody, right? And Sky winning it. But I'd love to see Sky beat Joshua in the final
Hold
because
on.
then
I
it's
just want
like
to
you
address
beat
a,
the
a
best.
comment in there from Crazy for Life. He's talking about Federer being a Derby bank pool champion. I was at Derby twice. I've seen Federer bank, but there might be a difference between banking on 4.5-inch pockets at the Derby City between banking on 4-inch pocket diamonds on a matchroom stage, buddy. Anyway,
Yeah. Jenny Ann points out that Mike LeBron was 54 when he won the US Open, but I think she'd even concede that the US Open now is completely different from the US Open back then. I mean,
yeah.
it seems like about 5 or 6 years ago, the US Open went from a really strong, prestigious tournament in the United States that would attract a few foreign players to now probably the toughest tournament in the world to win, I think. Thoughts?
Hmm. U.S. Open being
Show
the
me a
toughest
tougher
tournament.
tournament. Show me a tougher tournament to win.
Um. Yeah, I mean, you could
Maybe
argue
the
maybe the Spanish Open.
Friday night chip
The,
tournament at Skip and Jans is pretty
yeah,
tough.
no, yeah. I think the Spanish Open probably had a deeper field by a hair, not by because of the Chinese players. I mean,
Uh,
you had Wu and Deng there amongst others.
well, you had Raga
So
here, and Raga got knocked out early. By
I
the
think
way,
Raga
let's
was
talk
there
about one
too.
other player that got knocked out early because this one, I think, and we'll let you guys go in a couple minutes because the matches are about to start. But one other person I wanted to talk about was Moritz. So watching him when he lost that match, he missed a couple balls there. He missed an 8 ball that he would never miss, but somehow, just decelerated and kind of overcut the ball a little bit. And he looked so uncomfortable during that match, Mike. He looked like he was freezing, like he might have had 105 fever or something. I don't know if you caught it, but he was kind of like shivering. He was
Yeah,
holding warm drinks. I was just
yeah. The
like, there's
whole
something wrong with him. What's going
the
on?
whole
Did you hear any stories?
yeah. He's sick. I mean, he's got a
Oh,
cold. Yeah.
well, that's pretty anticlimactic.
Well, what are you gonna do? I asked Frank Candelo was sitting there sweating the Oliver and Pius match. So I asked Frank because I know they were rooming together, and he said, "Yeah, we all got sick after Connecticut." So I was like, "Okay, that makes
uh,
sense." But the whole room was sweating Moritz. I think everyone wanted to see him beat Mark. Well, take that back. Everyone was at least enjoying the Hill. So
oh, he
um,
should have beat Mark easily because he had two chances to put Mark away, and that last one with the 8 ball was just so, I don't know, so uncharacteristic. But yeah, Jason Foster makes a good point. Mark did grind it out from there. He made some nice outs when he needed to get that win. But
yeah.
yeah, so I'm going with the long shot of Sky Woodward over Josh Filler in the final. That's my long shot pick. But my safe pick is Beato and Josh Filler.
Bring back
Did
up
you?
the bracket. Let me see.
Oh no! Now I got to do all this. Hold on. Now I got to turn off the chat. Do I have to turn off the chat?
Turn off the
No.
graphic. Turn off the
Turn off
graphic
the.
first, then the chat, and then
Let's just
bring
do
up the
that.
screen.
Let's
Oh,
just
there you
do
go.
that.
Okay.
Keep the chat up.
Okay, so if I'm going long shot, I'm going. Let's see. I'm going Daniel Maciel from Poland um, against the Panda Bear in the finals. No, you know what? I'll go all Polish final. Maciel and Victor in the finals as an undershot, as an underdog. I mean,
That would be huge for Poland.
if I'm going for a bit more on the chalk side, I'm going Carlo versus Josh in the finals. So that's what I
Wait
would
a
do.
minute. Carlo, did you pick? You said Federer was going to come out of the top eight. What are you talking about?
No, I said if he beats Carlo, he's coming out of the top eight. It's a big
Oh,
if,
okay.
though. A
Got
big,
it.
big, big if. Yeah.
Got it. Well, hey, Mike, what's your plans for today? Everybody wants to know what are you going to be out there doing?
No idea, but I'm heading out there right now.
Okay. Well,
So,
hey, look,
yeah.
guys, if you're not already tuned in to Windows Open on Facebook, go hit the follow button. Make sure you got your notifications on because Mike's going to be putting phones at people's faces and talking to them and doing all kinds of stuff out there. If you're not following us on Patreon, go ahead and check out patreon.com/dogging it. We got a lot of exclusive content for you there. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back maybe later today to talk about the results. And yeah, don't dog it.